Certainly. Here's a rewritten version of the story segment. Go home, you broke old hag. Who do you think you are coming on the trip for free? I was astonished, as usual, by my family's behavior. I'll show you, I thought to myself, deciding how to punish them. While I was away from my family, enjoying some peace and quiet, my younger brother called me. Hey, what did you do, sis? My name is Karen, a 30-year-old office worker. I have a boyfriend of 3 years named Adam, a wonderful man who is gentle, caring, and considerate. We met in university. He was a senior when I was a junior. Whenever I had work or personal troubles, I often confided in him. He would listen empathetically to my stories and give me sound advice. After graduation, we continued to meet regularly, and one day he confessed his feelings to me. That's when we started dating. Since then, we've been getting along well, and I started thinking that we might marry someday. Then one day, he finally proposed. Karen, I want to be with you forever. Will you marry me? Yes. And so, we decided to get married. We soon went to announce our marriage to our respective families. I'm pleased to meet you. I'm Karen. Oh, I'm glad we finally get to meet you. Adam has talked about you a lot. He was right. You're such a lovely girl. Oh, stop. I'm blushing. Please come in. Thank you. Adam had lost his father a few years ago, and now only his mother was left in their family home. I was anxious about whether I would get along with my mother-in-law and whether she would like me, but I was relieved to find that she was a kind and wonderful person. We had a delightful conversation over tea and sweets. Karen is such a good girl. I'm so happy she'll be Adam's wife. His mother praised me very much. I'd never received so many compliments before, so I didn't know how to react and felt a little puzzled. The wedding preparations went well with a friendly atmosphere, and I felt relieved. But next, I had to introduce Adam to my family. Just thinking about it made me feel blue. You see, I don't really like my family that much. The reason is how my parents treated me since I was a child. Both of my parents were athletic, my mother in track and field, and my father in soccer. Because they were both good enough to be recommended to university, they had high expectations for their children to excel in sports as well. But I didn't have the athletic ability they hoped for. They tried to enroll me in various sports lessons, hoping I would excel at something. I remember being made to play basketball, swim, play table tennis, and even figure skate. However, I had fundamentally poor athletic ability. While I might have been considered average from a general perspective, it was far from the level needed to pursue excellence. As a result, my parents were frustrated. In the midst of this, my younger brother Kenny was born. My parents expected that there were many sports in which boys could excel, so they tried to involve my brother in sports as well. Then my brother showed talent in soccer. When the coach of the local youth soccer team said, "This kid is a genius," my parents were over the moon and began devoting all their love to my brother. Kenny is truly a genius. He takes after us. Their words implied that I was ordinary, and they did not want to admit that I was their child. No matter what my parents did, they favored my brother and didn't care about me. I progressed through middle school and then high school, but my parents remained indifferent. Even when I worked hard and achieved decent grades, they dismissed my efforts, saying academic success was meaningless. When I expressed my desire to attend college, they replied coldly, "We can't pay for your tuition. You'll have to manage on your own." Determined, I secured a scholarship for college. Meanwhile, my brother continued to excel in soccer, earning a recommendation to a prestigious high school. My parents were ecstatic, convinced he would go pro. "I'll do anything for Kenny," they would say. Growing up loved and adored, my brother inevitably looked down on me. "You're just an incompetent who attracts trouble and poverty," he would taunt. My parents never intervened. Instead, they joined in, labeling me a trouble and a financial drain. With each insult, my confidence plummeted. Despite earning a spot at a reputable university and landing a high-paying job at a major company, my self-esteem remained fragile. My accomplishments were quickly overshadowed by Kenny's success. He too received a soccer recommendation for college, feeling my parents' pride in him. Meanwhile, I struggled financially, burdened by scholarship repayments. While Kenny stayed at home, basking in parental affection and pursuing soccer, his path to professional success proved challenging. Despite graduating from college, he failed to secure a professional soccer career and had to find a job. Yet our parents remained steadfastly proud of him, and he continued living comfortably at home. I, on the other hand, was treated with disdain. At family gatherings, I was labeled the disappointment while Kenny was hailed as the pride of the family. Karen works at a big company. You should be proud, relatives would say. But my parents would dismiss it, asserting, no, Kenny is far more amazing. Such treatment left me perpetually disappointed by my family. My family treated me so poorly that I had stopped attending New Year's gatherings altogether. So, I was extremely hesitant about introducing Adam, my dear fiancé, to them. I had already briefed Adam about my parents and brother and their dismissive attitude towards me. However, he insisted on making a proper wedding greeting, so I reluctantly decided to visit my parents' house for the first time in several years. I called my mother to share the news of my impending marriage. What? No, long time no see, or how are you? Just straight to the point, I thought bitterly, knowing this was exactly what I could expect from her after all this time. Can you hurry up and tell me what you want? She curtly replied. I'm getting married, I stammered. He wants to say hi to you, so I was wondering if you'd meet with him. Why do I have to go through all that trouble? Her coldness pierced me, and disappointment washed over me once again. Then, I heard my brother's voice in the background. Mom, who are you talking to? It's Karen. She said she's getting married and wants to bring her fiancé to say hello. Well, that sounds interesting. I want to see how dull the other guy is. Let's meet him, my brother chimed in. Really? Well, if you say so. My mother finally relented. She picked up the phone and said, hello. You can come and say hello. Mixed feelings welled up inside me. I could hear their conversation, and despite everything, Adam still wanted to meet them. So, I decided to visit my parents' house on my next day off, preparing myself for potentially more hurtful behavior. I look forward to it, Adam said reassuringly. If the conversation over the phone is true like you said, wow, I replied, a hint of nervousness in my voice. It's not funny. I've had some really bad experiences, I explained, feeling the weight of past disappointments. Sorry, but if we're going to get married, I'm going to have to meet your family, Adam insisted gently. Okay, I sighed reluctantly, preparing myself for what was to come. We drove to my parents' house. When we arrived, I pressed the intercom, but no one answered. Upon entering the living room, I found my entire family seated on the sofa. There was also a young woman whom I didn't recognize at the time. I'm home. Long time no see, I announced awkwardly. This is my fiancé, Adam. Nice to meet you, Adam greeted politely. As I introduced him, everyone in the family scrutinized him. I thought he'd be more plain and dull, my brother Kenny remarked rudely. Adam chuckled nervously. What about that woman next to you, Kenny? Is she your girlfriend? I called ahead about bringing my fiancé, and he brought along an irrelevant woman. I interjected, frustrated by Kenny's lack of tact. That's my wife, Mira, Kenny declared proudly. She's been living here with me since we got married. What? Your wife? My eyes widened in shock. Wait a minute, Kenny. You were married, I exclaimed, feeling utterly blindsided. Yeah, last year, Kenny replied casually. I didn't know that. I couldn't help but raise my voice, feeling hurt and excluded. Our mother made a disgusted face. You're a picky kid, aren't you? You have nothing to do with Kenny's marriage, so there's no need for us to tell you. No, but, I started, feeling deeply wounded that my own brother had gotten married without anyone informing me. I was shocked and froze on the spot. Then my father turned to Adam. Not that I care, but what do you do for a living? I know it can't be much if you're marrying Karen, but I'll ask anyway. My father's words snapped me back to reality. I clenched my fists in anger, determined not to let anyone belittle my precious fiancé. Adam noticed and lightly restrained me with his hand. Apologies for the oversight. Allow me to introduce myself properly, Adam said calmly, handing his business card to my father. My father glanced at the card with a look of disdain, but then his eyes widened. A lawyer, he shouted, and the whole room, including Kenny's new wife, fell silent in shock. This is amazing. Mother, get him some tea, quickly, my father ordered, his tone completely changed. Yes, right away, my mother stammered. Wow, a real lawyer. Cool, my family members echoed, their attitudes blatantly shifting. Adam rolled his eyes in dismay. I never would have imagined that Karen would be marrying a lawyer. Why didn't she say so? My father mused, suddenly interested. Is the salary good? Could you buy me a fancy bag for my birthday? I was appalled at their shameless comments. As for my brother's wife, she seemed equally brazen. How could she say such things to my fiancé when she has never even met me before? I thought, Adam chuckled and replied, "We're going to be a family now, so let's take care of each other." "Yes, let's take care of each other," my mother echoed, though I had a bad feeling about it. My parents' brother and his wife enthusiastically engaged in the conversation, actively planning the meeting of both families. Their behavior was so over the top that even Adam's mother was visibly taken aback. After the meeting, I apologized to Adam's mother, but she smiled and reassured me. "Don't worry about it. Adam told me everything." I felt relieved. Adam's mother was truly a kind person. About 2 months later, Adam and I had our wedding ceremony. To my surprise, my entire family, who had always treated me poorly and wanted nothing to do with me, attended. Following the wedding, they began contacting me more frequently. "Would you and your husband like to have dinner with us sometime? I know a great restaurant." My mother would start each call. It was clear she was trying to ingratiate herself because Adam was a lawyer and made a lot of money. But I wasn't going to fall for her scheme. "I'm a little busy right now, so I don't think I'll be able to make it. I'll let you know when I can." "Okay, I'll wait for your call. Any time is fine for us," she'd reply in an overly cheerful voice. It was obvious she didn't care about me, only about exploiting my marriage to a wealthy man. After a few months of no contact, she called again. "Hey Karen, when are you going to get together with us?" she asked in a giggling tone. "I'm sorry, I've been a little busy," I responded, about to hang up. "We're talking about celebrating my 60th birthday," she continued. "We've been paying for your high school education, and your father and I have supported you, haven't we? I think it's only right that you return the favor a little." Reading between the lines, it was clear she was hinting that I should pay them back. While it was true that they had supported me through high school, I had funded my own college education. Nonetheless, I felt a sense of obligation. "All right, we'll join in the celebration," I agreed reluctantly. "Really? Then we're planning a family vacation." "Let's go together," she said, her tone filled with excitement. "A family vacation," I echoed, feeling a mix of dread and resignation. I didn't like the idea, but I thought it would give my husband and me some time alone together. When I told Adam, he agreed, so we decided to join the family trip. When I informed my mother, she was overjoyed. "I'll send you links to the hotels we want to stay at and the plans for other things." "What?" I was taken aback as she sent me numerous links. Reluctantly, I reviewed the contents and found websites for luxury hotels and restaurants. I was appalled at how extravagant the trip was becoming, clearly a ploy for them to extract money from us. However, I thought this would be the first and last time, so I proceeded to make the reservations. My mother was ecstatic when I called to inform her that everything was set. "I'm looking forward to it. Thank you." The day of the family trip to celebrate her 60th birthday arrived. We had planned a trip to Kyoto. We boarded the plane and headed for our destination, my parents, brother, and his wife all visibly excited. Upon arrival at the airport, Adam and I informed them that we would be exploring on our own. They tried to persuade us to buy souvenirs and join them, but we managed to evade their attempts and went our separate ways. We spent the day enjoying sightseeing and quality time together. Time flew by, and soon it was time for dinner. We met up with my family in front of the fancy restaurant where we had reservations. "You're late," my brother complained. "No, but we still have 10 minutes until our reservation," I replied, checking my watch. We entered the restaurant, ready to endure the rest of the evening with them. When I replied, my mother and brother suddenly changed their attitude. "We're not talking to you." "What?" I was taken aback. "Oh yeah, we're only here for you, Adam. Thank you for paying for our dinner at such a fancy restaurant and our stay at the luxury hotel." Adam rolled his eyes, confused by her remarks. "What?" Then my brother turned to me. "You're done here, sis." "What?" "I'm saying Adam's parasite has no right to have a good time," he sneered. "Hey, what are you talking about?" I asked, still bewildered. They started shouting. "Go home, you broke old hag. Who the hell do you think you are, coming along on a free trip?" As usual, I was astonished at my family's behavior. It became clear they planned to exclude me from the beginning. I whispered to Adam, "I'll show you how I decided to punish them." "Okay, I'll leave," I announced. My parents, brother, and his wife looked triumphant as they led Adam into the restaurant. Quickly, I made some arrangements. Fortunately, a good hotel had a cancellation, and I reserved a room there. I checked in, took a relaxing bath, and enjoyed the stunning view, relishing my time away from my family. Just as I started to unwind, my phone rang. It was my brother. Hey, what did you do, sis? What's wrong? I asked, feigning innocence. I'll tell you what's wrong. Adam disappeared. I don't know anything about that, I replied calmly. Don't be silly. You whispered something in his ear, didn't you? He may be an idiot, but he's got a good instinct for these things. Yeah, well, it's no big deal, I said, smiling to myself. I told him I'd be staying at a different hotel and that he could come over anytime. Don't be silly, Adam, my brother snapped. He said he got a phone call before the food came, got up from his seat, and didn't come back. We had to pay for that expensive food and to drink ourselves. Oh, really? But it's your mother's 60th birthday celebration. Isn't it normal for you to pay? Shut up. I'm going to charge you for it later. My brother fumed and hung up the phone. Soon after, Adam arrived at the hotel where I was staying, smiling. How did it go? Was he mad? I asked. He was furious. You were supposed to handle the flight, the restaurant, and the hotel bill, but they misunderstood and treated you so poorly. Those people are beyond saving, Adam said, shaking his head in disbelief. We gathered ourselves and enjoyed a meal at the hotel's high-class restaurant. Afterward, we relaxed in our room and welcomed the next morning refreshed. We woke up early and enjoyed sightseeing. To avoid conflicting with my parents, we changed our flight time and left early. While waiting for our flight, my phone buzzed with numerous calls from my mother. Hello, what's wrong? I answered. What the hell is going on? Why aren't you paying for our accommodations? She demanded. Because that's how I made the reservation. Don't be silly. I can't pay $700 per person. You had a good time. You should pay for it unless, of course, you want to get caught. That's enough. You are a parasite and a smug. You're the parasite, I snapped back. I was going to pay for this family vacation with all the money I've saved as a way of repaying you for all the support you've given me. It's your fault that you misunderstood and turned me away. What? Did you plan to pay for your own accommodation, food, and drink? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Oh no, there's no way you can afford that much money. Don't underestimate me. I work for the head office of a big company, and I'm a section chief there. I have quite a bit of money saved up, and my monthly salary is a lot higher than Dad's. What? My mother was absolutely stunned when she learned the truth. But it doesn't matter anymore. I've decided to cut you all off completely. I've got a plane to catch, so goodbye. I hung up and blocked all calls from my family's numbers. Fortunately, I hadn't told them where I worked or where we lived, so they couldn't reach me. However, the idiots stormed into the lawyer's office listed on the business card Adam had given them, demanding to see him and disrupting his business. My brother even broke some equipment, which was reported to the police. They were arrested and had to pay for the damage and fines. After spending so much money on a family vacation and because of the arrests, both my father and brother were fired from their jobs. Now they are all working part-time or as freelancers, living unwealthy lives and constantly bickering with each other. They really are idiots and deserve it. Meanwhile, Adam and I are still living happily. I got pregnant and gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. We rejoice over the birth of our daughter with my husband and mother-in-law. I will continue to cherish my husband, mother-in-law, and daughter and enjoy a happy life with them.